when you were 13, you weighed over 300 pounds. Do you still have that fear that you're going to go back to being overweight or back to old habits or anything? Is there any kind of triggers there?
Not, I wouldn't say back to animals, eating animals, ingesting animals. I don't have that fear, but definitely the fear of like being obese or overweight again. That's always there. Like, it's so funny. I literally, I was talking to a good friend of mine, Tori Washington, which I'm sure a lot of people know in the vegan community too. And it's like, when I look in the mirror, yeah, I could be at honestly like 2% body fat and I'll still see the fat kid there. So like body dysmorphia is something that came along with it. It's like a package deal, I guess. So I see that all the time, no matter how well I may have done and gotten in shape, I always feel that way. So yeah, but as far as ingesting animals, texture wise, I can't even see me doing it. And then also knowing what the animals go through, I can't see me doing it. So that, like you said, there's so many other aspects besides health that that can do it. And you know, you do hear a lot of times where people are like, oh, if you only went for health, you'll go back. And it's like, well, let's not deter anybody from starting with health though. Cause you know, I tell people I started with health, but then I learned more as I went on. And you see sometimes, especially online, you'll see people like literally hinder people from doing it because they say, well, you know, I'm going to try this for my health. It's like, no, we'll let them in the door. And then now that they're in the door, now you can show them everything now that they're in the door. But sometimes you just got to kind of ease them into it. Whatever their why is, then they can increase the why.
I think that's really important to allow the two things that you said in terms of your the plan in the book. One was letting people choose their own foods and finding their own foods, so important because we tend to, and maybe that's what's given us vegans a little bit of a negative reputation of being bombastic. Or it could be, I mean, I also want to just concede that I do think it's non-vegans defensiveness too, because deep down I feel like they do, most people will say factory farming isn't right. And yet they know that whenever they eat meat, they're participating in that. So there's always a little defensiveness on the part of, non-vegans. But also we can also say, oh no, it's easy. Just do it. It's fine. Look, just add more vegetables. And it's so
Right.
much easier said than done. It could be a real turn off.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so funny. I had this discussion with some other friends too, and it's like we as vegans, as much as I love cauliflower wings, we have to stop saying they taste just like wings. We have to do it. Like we have to stop because people go in with this expectation that it's gonna taste exactly like that. It's like, no, they taste amazing as what they are. And I think that's what we have to start doing. We don't have to necessarily replace everything. It's just like, no, you're going to get something that just tastes amazing the way it is. And I think if we build up this false hope out there, we're going to keep letting people down. Like, let them know that this is amazing over here, the way it is. And I think that way people will be more inclined to just keep
You
doing it.
mentioned that you have a constant fear, that's still with you, the 300-pound kid, and your awareness that
Right.
you could go back to that. What kind of things? Because I know people are going to buy your book because they want to be better, whatever for whatever reason, better for the planet, better
Yeah.
for animals, better for their health, but they want to be better. What kind of things do you, John Lewis, do every day to help you stay on track for health reasons, to keep your body looking and feeling the way you want? Do you have any kind of either go-to foods or rituals that really are important to you?
I would say one of my biggest rituals that helps me stay on track is not beating myself up, but still holding myself accountable. I think that's a very thin line and it takes some time to get used to because we've been taught this either or kind of mentality. Like you either got to be tough on yourself or you got to love yourself. And it's like you can actually do both. And it's like I can love myself, but then when I mess up, I can also hold myself accountable and be like, hey, we can't do that anymore, John. You know where that's going to lead. We love ourselves, and if we love ourselves, this is what we have to do. I think a lot of people are scared to talk to themselves and get to know themselves. They say one of the biggest fears is not necessarily being lonely, but being alone. People are scared to be alone with their own thoughts. They're scared to be alone with their own mind. And you have to do that sometimes. You have to really dig deep inside your mind to find the problem because we can't solve a problem if we're not willing to admit there's a problem in the first place. And having that positive talk with ourselves, that's what really helps us to get there.
It's interesting that you say that because we'll talk to ourselves. Like if we had a best friend who messed up, quote unquote, messed up. I don't like even using that word, but if we had a friend who went off track, we go off track sometimes, we would never speak to our friend in the way we speak to ourselves to encourage them to get back on. So it's interesting. And I think as someone who also beats herself up and also has a fear from years of eating disorders, has a fear of going back or gaining weight, that getting out of control, I should say, is probably the overall thing. I feel like I think to myself, if I'm compassionate to myself, that means I'm letting myself off the hook and I'm going to slide. But you're saying that actually when we beat ourselves up, we don't give ourselves the opportunity to really look inside and analyze and figure out really what's going on.
Yeah. Because what happens is that type of think about this. Abuse is a snowball effect. If an abuser, if they abuse something or someone or whatever it is, and they don't get in trouble for it, then the abuse starts to grow and it gets worse and worse and worse over time. The same thing happens if we're talking negative to ourselves. If we say something bad to ourselves once and we don't correct it and we don't start to speak to ourselves gently, we start to treat ourselves worse and worse and worse over time. But we don't pay attention to it because we're like, well, it's just me. I'm talking to myself this way, but you actually are setting a tone for the rest of your life. So we have to get out of that. And I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. The way we've been brought up, I was brought up the same way. But you have to step back and then take a look at how to solve this problem gently, but still firmly.
That's a really good analogy. And on your website, you have a quote and you say that the body has to be prepared for a healthy lifestyle, but you also have to be mentally prepared. So can you talk a little bit about the kind of mindset that one has to have to maintain a healthy life day after day? And I'm talking about the maintenance, not diets, which you and I know are short term, but what kind of mindset do we have to have? And maybe it has to do with what we were just talking about.
Yeah. And it also has to, the mindset has to be set on, this is going to require work, but guess what? I'm able to do this work. A lot of times we cut ourselves so short, we think that we're not able to achieve this goal because we saw somebody on a mythical social media platform that did it. And we're like, there's no way they did that. They had to cheat. There's no way. And a lot of times it's not that they cheated. It's just that we think we would cheat to get there. And that's what happens a lot of times. So we have to get back to the point where, you know what? We live in the microwave age and we want everything overnight. We want to press the button and then it's ready to go. But that's not how it works. We have to be understanding that if we did something 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, maybe the wrong way, it's not going to take a week to clear it up. But if we keep coming back and we keep doing the right thing and we keep positively showing up, even on the bad days, I think a lot of people think that like someone like yourself or me or Dotsie or Tori or whoever it is, they think we are excited about working out every day. And that's not the case. I wish that was the case. I wish I had a magic potion that said every day I wake up, I'm like, let's go torture ourselves. There are some days I don't want to be there, but I also know the goal that I want won't happen if I don't show up. And so if we understand that if we show up and just put the effort in, it's going to happen. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be next week, but it's going to happen.
I think, yes, you're focusing not so much on the outcome, but on the journey helps us stay in the present instead of being impatient and wanting things to happen super fast. Because there's joy in that journey. I mean, there's beauty in eating well and exercising. You feel good that day.
Yeah, we are creatures of habit. And sometimes we forget that the good habits and the bad habits are both addictive, and they both give us that dopamine regardless of which way we're looking at it. So if you keep doing the wrong thing over and over, it's going to feel good. It's going to feel comfortable. If you keep doing the right thing over and over, it's going to feel good too. But you just have to pick which one you want to do.
Oh, I love that, because I love habits. I think habits are so important in our life. And the people who are healthy basically have more good habits than bad habits. They don't have 100% necessarily good habits, but
Yes.
they just keep striving, right?
You keep showing up. You keep showing up. And again, you have to be gentle with yourself and also hold yourself accountable that when you do slip up, because you're going to slip up, I don't care who you are. Even the person that you think is the ultimate health nut and never messes up, they just don't post it. It's there. They only post the good stuff.
Yeah, I like that. I always say to folks that it's not about how you getting off track. It's how fast you get back on track that really is the most important thing, because everybody gets off track.